The morning air in the small town of Cedar Ridge felt heavier than usual. Outside the brick building of the Cedar Ridge Police Department, patrol cars were parked in a perfect line. Red and blue lights flashed silently, not in urgency, but in honor. Today wasn't just another shift. Today was K-9 Officer Max's last day. For 10 years, Max, a powerful German shepherd with a scar above his right eye and deep, intelligent brown eyes, had served beside his handler, Officer Daniel Hayes. Together, they had tracked fugitives through frozen forests, located missing children in pouring rain, and stood guard in moments when fear gripped the community. Max wasn't just a police dog. He was a hero. Inside the station, officers stood shoulder to shoulder. Some held coffee cups they hadn't touched. Others stared at the floor. Officer Hayes knelt beside Max, adjusting the black K-9 harness that had become part of him. The Velcro patch reading police was worn from years of service. Hayes ran his hand along Max's back slowly, memorizing the feel of his partner's steady breathing. "You ready, buddy?" he whispered. Max's ears twitched at the sound of his voice. He didn't understand retirement. He didn't understand ceremonies. All he knew was that his partner's tone was softer than usual. At 9 a.m. sharp, the captain stepped forward. "Today, we honor K-9 Officer Max for 10 years of loyal service to the people of Cedar Ridge. He has assisted in over 200 arrests, located 17 missing persons, and protected his handler without hesitation." The room filled with applause. Max barked once. Soft laughter mixed with tears. But what no one knew was that Hayes had made a decision the night before, one he hadn't told anyone about. A decision that would change everything. After the ceremony, they loaded into their patrol vehicle one last time. Not to respond to a call, but to revisit the places that defined their partnership. First stop, Maplewood Forest. It was here, 6 winters ago, that Max had tracked a lost 6-year-old boy for nearly 3 miles through heavy snow. Hayes still remembered the moment Max had frozen, tail high, nose pointed forward, and then sprinted. They found the child curled beneath a fallen pine tree, barely conscious. Max had saved his life. Hayes stepped out of the vehicle and removed Max's leash. "Go on," he said softly. Max ran, just like he always had, strong, focused, alive. But this time, there was no urgency. Just memory. Next, they drove to Riverside Elementary. Teachers and students lined the sidewalk holding handmade signs. "Thank you, Max. Our hero." Children cheered as Max stepped out. He wagged his tail, soaking in the attention. Hayes watched as a little girl knelt and wrapped her arms around Max's neck. "You found my brother," she whispered. Hayes swallowed hard. Max had never asked for recognition. He had never asked for medals. He had only ever asked for one thing: to stay by his partner's side. As the day stretched on, word spread across town. Shop owners stepped outside to wave. Truck drivers honked as they passed. Elderly residents placed hands over their hearts. Cedar Ridge wasn't saying goodbye to a police dog. They were saying goodbye to a guardian. By late afternoon, Hayes parked near the lake on the edge of town. The same place he had first met Max as a 10-week-old pup. Back then, Max had been clumsy. Oversized paws. Too much energy. A bundle of chaos and promise. Now, he was older. Slower. A little gray around the muzzle. But still watching Hayes with the same unwavering loyalty. Hayes removed the harness slowly. For the first time in 10 years, Max stood without the weight of duty on his back. Hayes rested his forehead against Max's. "You don't have to work anymore," he whispered. Max licked his hand. And that's when Hayes made his silent promise. Max would never leave his side. Not now. Not ever. Back at the station, the mood shifted. The official retirement photo was taken. A cake shaped like a paw print sat untouched on the break room table. Officers shared stories about Max's bravery. But Officer Hayes wasn't smiling the way he normally would. Because there was something no one else knew. 3 weeks earlier, a veterinarian had delivered news Hayes hadn't been ready to hear. Max had an aggressive form of cancer. The prognosis wasn't good. Retirement wasn't just about age. It was about time. Limited time. Hayes had kept the diagnosis private. He didn't want pity. He didn't want the town to see Max as fragile. Max was still Max. Still strong. Still proud. That afternoon, Hayes walked into the captain's office with paperwork in hand. "I'd like to submit my early retirement," he said quietly. The captain looked up. "Dan, you've got at least 5 more years." Hayes nodded. "I know." He didn't explain everything. He didn't have to. The captain had seen the way Hayes looked at Max. Some partnerships go beyond profession. They become family. When Hayes returned to the parking lot, Max was waiting inside the patrol SUV, watching through the window. Always watching. Hayes opened the door. "You're not retiring alone," he said. Max's tail thumped against the seat. That evening, something unexpected happened. As Hayes packed up his locker, Max suddenly became alert. His body stiffened. Nose lifted. Low growl. "What is it, boy?" Before Hayes could react, Max bolted down the hallway, despite the early stiffness in his legs. Officers shouted in confusion. Max stopped near the evidence room. Scratching. Barking. Aggressive. Within minutes, they discovered a suspicious package tucked behind a storage shelf, something that had been missed during intake. The bomb squad was called. It wasn't active, but it could have been. Even on his last day. Even while sick. Max had protected them one final time. The station fell silent. Hayes knelt beside him, tears finally breaking free. "You never stop, do you?" The next morning, local news picked up the story. K-9 officer saves department on final day before retirement. The town responded in a way no one expected. Cards flooded the station. Veterinary bills were anonymously paid. Strangers left bags of treats on Hayes' porch. But Max didn't understand any of it. All he understood was that Hayes was home more. Sleeping closer. Talking softer. As days passed, Max's energy faded. He no longer chased squirrels. No longer ran full speed. But every night, he rested his head on Hayes' boot, just like he had after every shift. One evening, Hayes carried him to the porch. The sun dipped low over Cedar Ridge. "You remember when we first got partnered?" Hayes asked softly. Max's eyes remained fixed on him. "I was scared," Hayes admitted. "I didn't know if I was good enough." Max had never doubted him. Not once. And now, as the cancer progressed, Hayes knew he had one final duty left. To give Max the goodbye he deserved. But what happened next would leave the entire town in tears. Word spread quietly. Not through headlines. Not through announcements. But through whispers. "Max doesn't have long." On a cool Saturday morning, Hayes lifted Max gently into the back of his truck. They weren't going to the vet. Not yet. They were going downtown. As they turned the corner onto Main Street, Hayes froze. People lined both sidewalks. Hundreds of them. Firefighters in uniform. Police officers standing at attention. Families holding flags. Children clutching photos. No one had organized it officially. The town had done it themselves. As Hayes opened the truck door, Max slowly stepped down. Weaker now. But still dignified. And then something happened that no one expected. Without command. Without leash. Max walked. Down the center of Main Street. Straight. Steady. As if he understood. As if he knew this was his final patrol. Grown men wiped tears. Children reached out gently as he passed. A bagpiper began to play Amazing Grace. Hayes walked beside him, one hand hovering near his partner's back, but never holding him back. Halfway down the street, Max paused. He looked up at Hayes. Then he did something he had only done twice before in 10 years. He leaned his full weight into Hayes' leg. A silent signal. "I'm tired." Hayes knelt. Pulled him close. "It's okay," he whispered, voice breaking. The crowd stood silent. No sirens. No applause. Just love. Hayes lifted Max into his arms. Carried him the rest of the way. The American flag above the courthouse lowered to half-staff. For a dog. For a hero. For a partner. That evening, Hayes lay on the living room floor beside Max. The vet had come earlier. Peaceful. Gentle. Max's breathing was slower now. But calm. Outside, something unexpected began happening. One by one, patrol cars arrived. Then fire trucks. Then civilian vehicles. Without being asked. Without being told. Lights illuminated Hayes Street in red and blue. Not an emergency. In honor. Hayes opened the front door so Max could hear it. His ears twitched. Softly. Faintly. Hayes leaned close. "You did good, partner." Max's tail thumped once. Just once. And then... stillness. Hayes pressed his forehead against Max's. The porch outside filled with silence. Grown officers cried openly. Neighbors held candles. News cameras stayed at a distance. This wasn't about a story. It was about love. The next morning, Cedar Ridge unveiled something permanent. At the entrance of the police department stood a bronze statue. A German shepherd in full canine harness. Eyes forward. Strong. Alert. The plaque read, K-9 Officer Max, loyal until the end. But what truly broke everyone wasn't the statue. It was what Officer Hayes did next. He knelt before it, removed his badge, and placed it at the statue's paws. I was only brave, he said quietly, because you were. The town never forgot that day. And neither will anyone who hears this story. Because sometimes, heroes don't wear capes. Sometimes, they walk on four legs.